how did the plane cut through such strong steel columns? I mean, the plane was travelling at 500, 600 miles an hour, hurled into a building which is standing still. That energy has to go somewhere, and it's going to travel into the external structure first. As the plane destroys itself, some of that energy is going to get transferred into these steel columns. And there's 59 of these on each side of the building. But the immediate place where this is going to be felt is in the connections between each one of these columns. And if you look at how the Twin Towers were built, as you look at the perimeter structure, it was made up of sections, prefabricated sections, which included 3 steel columns and 3 spandrel panels welded together, and each one of these were bolted to one another to form this sort of netting on the outside of steel, which supported a large amount of the weight of the building. But you'll notice that the plane didn't actually have to cut through the steel completely like a knife. All it has to do is actually just disconnect these pieces from each other by shearing off the bolts. And you can see that has happened here. You see it's happened here. You see it's happened here. Now if you look at this area here, it's pushed in the box columns, sort of folded them into the building. It's disconnected them, like here. And what was a box column has just been folded inwards inside the building like that. But interestingly, you can see that some of the columns have been cut. Now clearly these ones here have been cut off from here. And it's interesting because in that area, the engine must have entered the building because the plane entered at a slight angle. So something like that, maybe a bit more, would have gone sort of where you can see where it went. So that's where it cut through the columns. It's amazing to think just how much speed this plane was carrying, hitting these columns. This one's quite interesting actually. You can see a column is broken off here, and it's still there, but you can see that it's bent. The spandrel panel is actually deformed and cut off from over here. So this is where the panel continues. So there's been a complete separation here of the panel, which is relatively thin compared to the box columns. And here's another picture of the same scene. Now over here you can see a section of columns remains connected to the above floor, but you can actually see that it's been bent inwards. Incredible force. And here as well, these have still remained connected to the building above, but there would have been another section here, and that one has obviously disappeared. It's gone into the building. But because these are at the same height, this is probably a section here, and so an entire section has literally been taken inside the building, and then where it was connected up here has just been bent inwards. And you can see as well here, the cladding is still on this one, but it does look like this is still steel columns on the inside here. They've just been disconnected by the force of the plane entering the building. An entire column section just dangling, probably still connected by the spandrel here, bent, peeled inwards, where it would have been here before. And by the looks of it, this is a floor, well, a section of the floor that has sort of fallen down. It might have actually been from up here, because that's a floor. And you can tell where the floors are because where the panels are is where the floor trusses would have been sitting on these seats here. Yeah, so this would have been a floor, and then this would have been a floor, this would have been a floor. So these floors would have just fallen down. Here's another close-up image here. You can see a bit closer up what's happening. Interesting to see these lines. You see like an outline of a box column here. So this one's probably been disconnected from here, and it's literally been pushed inwards into the building. to allow the plane to enter. So not in all cases did necessarily the planes cut the steel. Like probably it must have done here because of the fact that this is just a narrow gap. Obviously, it's not going to contain an entire section here. So these were cut. These were cut, and you can actually see some of the steel mangled up there. So these ones were cut, but not in all cases. Not in all cases. Most of the time, the bolts were sheared off, and the entire section just pushed inside. I'm not sure what's circled there necessarily, whether it's a person or not. There's a person here anyway. It's shocking. We'll look a bit closer now at the south tower. They appear to be floors that are actually sagging. So they're going down to here. They're going down to there. The floors were not very robust necessarily. I mean, they were strong enough to do their job. And you can see that these trusses are relatively lightweight. Now the floors are actually constructed, made up of concrete on the top, and then you have the trusses here, and then the bridging trusses that go across to bind together each truss itself that connects to the columns on the outside of the building. Here, parts or sections, not entire floors probably, but just sections of the floors were destroyed by the debris of the plane, the explosion of the jet fuel, the fires, the huge amount of energy that was transferred through the whole structure when those planes hit. And here's some images of the aftermath after the buildings fell. It's just evidence of the strength of the external structure to still be standing despite the rest of the building falling on top of it. But it's interesting, if you look over here, what do we see? We see another set of columns here in one piece. Another set still connected. It's like Lego really. These were prefabricated. It's what the building was made of really on the outside. It's just these sort of like Lego pieces nearly, all connected to each other. But what you'll notice a lot of the time is you'll see them at the same length. 1, 2, 3, 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. These weren't cut. They didn't tear each other apart. I mean, when the building was falling, when this structure was coming apart, it wasn't because they were being cut up or blown up, but it's just the connections failed. Bolts that connected the box columns just disappeared. They failed. But how did that happen? I don't know. I can't answer that question with certainty. I mean, wow. I mean, look at the forces involved. You can analyze these images of the aftermath, the immediate aftermath. And again, here you can see 1, 2, 3. These holes here is where the bolts would have gone in to connect each piece together. And you can just see they're empty. These tridents as well. You can see all the debris sort of strewn over these connections here between each trident. Just give a sense of all the stuff that just came down on top of them. But I think it's amazing how this entire section here remains standing. It just shows how strong this outside structure actually was. A lot of people say, the Twin Towers had a design flaw, or they weren't built very well. They certainly were built very well. I mean, the structure's not got a core here to stabilize it. It's not got floors connecting, each side of the building to the outside anymore. It's just on its own. This external structure is just standing by itself still, awkwardly and definitely bent, but entire buildings come down on them, and you can see they're still there. Interesting here, you can see a section has remained connected, but it's just fallen down inwards. Another one here. Pieces of Lego, sort of, imagine you build a model and then you take all the pieces apart. This is what you're looking at. There's a piece. There's another. You see 1, 2, 3, same length. 1, 2, 3, same length. They're just disconnected from one another, or at least maybe 1 or 2 still connected, but it's all just blown out. You actually look closely, you can see the building, bits of the building still together. You can still see it's just pieces that have been disconnected from one another, or sections that still are intact but have fallen down. It's just been taken apart, like Lego. Here's a good image. Rescue workers here in the rubble. Might have been the night of September the 11th. Here's another 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just box columns have been disconnected. See the holes there for the bolts. There's like a banana peel. I'm not sure if this is box columns. It looks more like the actual core columns. Almost looks like a loop on a roller coaster. I mean, to bend metal like this, it has to be hot. That's just completely mangled up. I'm not sure if it must have been also very hot, the steel, to have done that. This does look like, I'm not sure. That looks like it might be a box column. It's just so mangled up. Let me know what that is if you know. Yeah, it says portion of steel facade. So that is a box column. What has happened to that? That is unbelievable. It's hard to even guess what's happened here. It's interesting how they've stayed together in threes. You normally see them in threes, like they were made originally. But it just proves, from these images, it proves that the steel wasn't weak. The connections failed. And that's how it came down, like Lego, just being shattered. That'll do it for this video. I think I'll do another video examining the collapse itself and picking that apart and having a look at all the different things that are happening. I think that'll be really interesting, even just for myself, just to look at it all closely. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching.